Hey, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Parent. Karen, we're doing a little bonus podcast for two reasons. It's going to be a little short 20-minute one. I hope you all, guys will all give it a listen. I know this is coming out, I think it's Tuesday. It's literally like 2 or 3 days away. And I just wanted to get this one out quickly. So it's not really produced, so hopefully the sound is good. But hopefully everything is just shifting. I landed in Utica. I'm going to be doing a podcast about that later. But you all loved Seraphina Blackman, and I have her back. We're going to talk a little bit about the stress in the universe right now. And Seraphina, you are not the only one. I think almost all my psychic people, friends, my psychic friend network, have called and something is off. What is your interpretation of what's going on right now?
Well, I think that it's a combination of things. I think that it is I think that there's a lot going on the emotional earth grid with regards to the conflict over in Far Eastern Europe. I think that it is the fear mongering that's being done in the media to make people scared about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in the Far East. I think that there's a lot of sun activity, and we know that people who are very sensitive, it can make them quite ill. And also, I think that it is the energy of 2022. I had said in um, I myself did a small prediction, not prediction episode of my podcast for 2022. And I did say that 2022 was a recalibration year. And this is where I think people are really being like all of the old programs are being shaken off and they're really cementing their timelines, I think, for the next 9 months. So this month of March is going to be where people are really going to be having they're having to make serious choices and learning how to cope and deal with things very, very differently. um, I
I
think
I
choices.
I could
Yeah.
not agree more with that. And as I sit here in Utica, where it wasn't where I wanted to be, but my message today was where I'm supposed to be, I couldn't agree with
Hmm.
that more.
Yeah. So I think it's a combination of things. Whereas if it was just, okay, this is the second year of the change, we had 2020, 2021, and now we're into 2022, and we're by now kind of used to rolling with the punches of change and jumping timelines and shaking off old programs and all of those, those sorts of that heavy, dense energy. And then coupled with these environmental factors, a lot of people are waking up around this time. A lot of people are waking up through um, reaction to the fair programs that are being sent out, I think, throughout the grid is really
Oops.
having the
Oh,
opposite effect.
oh. When you said you it cut out for 1 second. When you said the fair programs, what do you mean? Like people thinking karmically and things are going to be fair?
No, I mean fair, FEAR, fair programs. Like
Oh,
there's a
fear.
lot of fair programs. Yeah. So typically, you can think of it in a 3D way, as in the messaging that comes out in the media, um, the just really dense energy that are being sent out through the matrix. Basically, it's fear programming, people having strange thoughts, people getting into conflicts. There's a lot of fear programming I find on the grid. And traditionally, fear programs are meant to put people asleep, to either get them to fawn, you know,
Or behave.
yes, to basically just fawn, to freeze and, just fall asleep or not react or but I think it's having the opposite effect now. I think people are actually waking up from exposure to these fair programs because nobody this is a lot of people have made the unconscious choice to not go with the status quo, which is why change is happening so quickly.
A friend of mine said she feels like a lot of non-human entities are coming to Earth right now. Um, you feel anything like that?
Well, I will tell you something that you'll probably laugh at me. So remember in our last the last podcast, I was talking about I really don't want to see any jinn,
Mm-hmm.
and if I saw, I would pretend that I didn't. Well, I got two jinn
Oh,
around me. I got two, and they there is absolutely no reason I would invite Jin into my house or into my space. Absolutely, there's no way. But they came and they came with instructions. They said that they were told that they had a job to do and they were given instructions by their bosses. And it was, and I'm quoting, to guard the guardian. So I have these two Jin guards
oh, so
as my
you have white gin,
guardians.
what they call them, white
Hmm,
gin.
yes. Yes. So
Ah,
that job they were given, they don't work for me. They got a boss, and their instructions was to guard the guardian. And there was no way I'm going to inflict uh, the wrath of Jin on any human ever.
right.
So my thing is these Jin were called in to guard from non-human energies.
Wow. Well,
Hmm.
yes, I want to stick to you on this one because I have to tape a whole podcast on my own, which I usually don't do because then I feel like I'm talking about me at the end of the month. So I want to keep, but that makes sense to me. Um,
Hmm.
in so many, it's so interesting. That's their job. That's like
Yeah.
the talking about the archangels. They're not here to serve us, but if we are serving God, they will serve us. It's kind of
Hmm.
a flip and an interesting thing that happened in my new home. You know what else? I have to say this. The talk about the fear programs, and I think this is a big one. And Noah, I can't remember from the Daily Show, brought this up exactly what I was thinking, which is, this happens in other countries all the time. But when it happens
Hmm.
in like Africa or it happens in the Middle East, it's almost like, well, those people just do that. That's how they are. The media keeps talking about how middle class people, look at middle class people have to leave their homes. This isn't, just the poor or the people causing the trouble. And I do think he's absolutely right. I think white people are looking at this and they've never seen it like this. They have no place to put it, which is making, and it's just 24/7, 24/7.
Yeah.
Obviously, we
Yeah.
hope no one gets invaded. This should never happen to any people anywhere. But it's funny that you mentioned
Hmm.
fear program because I think that's exactly what is happening here.
Yes. Yes, it's definitely fear programming, and we do know that being part of the matrix, there are a lot of programs that run around that we're subject to, and the process of awakening is to basically free ourselves from the influence of a lot of these programs. But any programming expert would tell you that there is an operating system, and then there's supplementary programs, and then there's patches that you send in, and there's worms, and there's viruses, and they come from all kinds of different sources. They come from within the program, they come from external sources as well. And you just kind of have to think of it in that way, is that you are uh, attempting to be hacked. Let's think of it that way. You have these
Ah.
you have these programs that are coming in that are attempting to hack your operating system, which is, peace, harmony, love, beneficial, fun, joy. These are the things that we as humans choose and all want. This is what makes us um, more alike than different. The fact that we all want the same things, and we want the same things for everyone. And these external programs are what uh, can I be a potty mouth? F up our
Oh,
programming.
of course, yes, yes, absolutely. And this is so funny. So I think that I apologize, folks. I think because this move has been so tough, and that's what I'm going to talk about on the podcast that I do, which I think is coming out in April. But this is all almost leading into exactly like I can't stop my heart palpitations. I can't stop my
Mhm.
like it's physical now. It's physical. It's actually
Mhm.
sort of crippling
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
and I did something that I don't usually do, and I'll talk about that on that podcast, but it literally is we're all I think this is the emotional upgrades or the sensitivity upgrades or the psychic upgrades.
Mhm.
I think it is both ends of it. It's making us more susceptible to these programs, but it's also helping us. But I'm so glad I had you on to talk to this. Now we're going to take a little turn here and talk about why I wanted to have you on. And I don't usually do this, but you became such a fast friend, and this is really an important thing. You actually
Aw.
had quite a turn here of events. Can you tell everybody about that a little bit?
Okay, so anybody who listens to my podcast or anyone on my podcast knows about Mary. Mary is my mom, and she is my rock. She is the person that when I'm having fair programming issues or I run under the shelter of my mother, I'm a 44-year-old woman that still needs my mom. And she became very ill, very, very ill, very, very fast. And I had to take her in, I had to make that terrible choice of taking her into the hospital during a pandemic. In Trinidad, we have public health care, which is free. And it's on some days it's pretty good, and on some days it's the worst mistake that you could possibly make. But we decided that we were going to take her into the private system um, for fear of, the burdens of the pandemic on the public health system. We would decided that we were going to go into a private hospital, and the family rallied around what we thought was going to be a very simple uh, gallbladder stone removal procedure. In the end, that procedure failed. I almost lost my mom. Her gallbladder was gangrenous. Um, and it was very scary. Like my mom was, she was traveling.
Mm,
She was traveling. I believe she had her um, awakening experience. Let's put it that way.
mm,
She had her awakening experience. It was such a it happened like she turned bright yellow, like
mm.
jaundice. It was scary. I'd never seen anybody turn jaundice before. It's like you rub turmeric all over your skin. Your eyes are like bright yellow.
Wow.
Um, and that was scary enough. And having her go in, which we thought would be a very serious procedure, and then that procedure failed, and then they had to go and do something even more complicated and much more dangerous. And we didn't have a choice. Like we did not have a choice. They said, you know, we didn't have a choice. Let's put it that way. She had to have this procedure, and the cost was the kind of thing that most people don't make in a year. It's I've never had coming from a public healthcare system that's free and a family that is um, fairly stable and health wise. I've never had, and none of us have ever had to face these kinds of health crises where we had to access private healthcare. That was so expensive.
Yeah.
So it was quite scary. Um,
Is quite scary.
when you have to make that choice, and I had to, I mean, it was me and my sisters, and we had to make really hard choices. Are we going to be staying at her bedside? Because she herself was very, very scared. Or do we take time off to go to the banks, to locate, money? Because at some point they had said, we are not going to do this procedure unless we get this amount of money.
Oh, that's
And I'm
criminal.
like, the surgeons are on standby, the theater is ready. And I'm telling them, you're telling me this. The banks have already closed. We, it was 9:30 in the night that I met the first surgeon, and he tells me that it fails. And then the next day we're scrambling around to find additional funds because we know it's going to be more money. um and then the hospital administrator says, we can't do anything for your mom unless you make a further down payment.
Ugh,
um and we're going to hold the surgery. And it's like, at that point, you're like,
nothing you
are
can
you
do.
gonna just let somebody die?
Mm-hmm. Are you even human right now?
Yeah, like, the healthcare needs to be free everywhere in the
Everywhere.
world,
Mm-hmm.
uh, for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And um, so your friend Andrea, our friend, I call her Andrea Schumann resonance, because she explained the Schumann resonance to me. Grooving Goddess on Instagram has put together a fundraiser for you. And I know you are taken with what's going on. You're dealing with it, all that stuff. So that's why I wanted to put you on, folks. If you there's a website called Fundraiser. I'll put a link in the notes, and it's Surgery for Mother Mary in Trinidad. If you have anything, if you got $50, if you got $20, if you got $2,000, whatever you have, every little bit helps out. So that's why I wanted to do this today, because time is sort of essential here. And so it's fundraiser with a Z, and it's Surgery for Mother Mary in Trinidad. So I really hope we can help you out here.
I I I can't tell you how touched I've been by everybody who's reached out to help, because it the amazing thing about it is that you really never know how much you mean to people and how much people care about you, um, until they show up when you
Yeah.
can't show up for yourself, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, everybody that appreciated your episode, maybe you got a little extra you can send this week, and let's see if we can help out uh, Seraphina.
Thank you.
All right, my darling. Fingers crossed. I'm going to be watching this, and
Mhm.
all right, prayers to you, honey. Maybe that's what your gin is there.
Thank
Your
you.
gin are probably there because your defenses are down now. So those are some good gin.
Those are some good and
Not that anyone's inviting anything, just saying.
no,
All right, my
never.
friend. I adore you. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. We'll see you this Friday.